Good evening. Hey, I wanted to come on today and talk a little bit about the not just immigration status, but the Supreme Court ruling that came out this morning that really has a lot of people up in arms on one side and a lot of people happy on the other side. People scream 14th Amendment all the time, and they just assume 14th Amendment is included when you have a certain status. They don't take into account temporary permanent statuses might have work visas, they might have other things that involve with them, but they're here temporarily. They're not here, and the kids that they bear here, especially since 1990, some of them are adults now, they technically are here temporarily. They're not citizens. They're guests. And I would like to know what you think about when you have a house guest and they come for a few days and that's the agreement. You roll out the red carpet, you make them dinner, you entertain them. But it's temporary. What happens when it doesn't become temporary? How far down the road do you get until you finally say, you're only supposed to be here a couple of days, you've been here a couple of months, and I think it's time for you to find your own place or go back home. How do you all feel about that? I'm Spanky Gibson. This is Spanky Gibson Produces. This is not a standard video on how to do something or do it yourself. This is current events. And I'm always interested when I turn on mainstream media and I'm watching news or I'm on X and I'm hearing a whole side of the country that is complaining that all these 1.3 million individuals that are in temporary protected status should be voters. They should be citizens. What do you think? Temporary protected status. It was never meant to be here decades. And some of them have been here. I mean, I joined the Marine Corps in 1989. Some of them have been here since the early 90s. You think about all those Somalians up in Minnesota and Maine that have made all this news thanks to Nick Shirley. I was in Somalia, got there December of 92, left there late March, early April of 93. A lot of those Somalians came in a similar situation. Well, when folks come here temporarily, why aren't you treating them like a house guest? Why are politicians allowing a temporary situation to go on decades? It doesn't make any stinking sense. So now, finally, the courts have made a decision. They've ruled. And they say the president, no matter who the president would be at this time, has the right to determine whether or not they're still protected temporarily. Now, the vast majority of those 1.3 million are, yes, from Haiti and from Syria. Two terrible countries. I would understand why people wouldn't want to go back to those countries. But I would also understand on why we would not allow those individuals that have made their countries terrible for one reason or another, maybe to no fault of their own, stay here permanently. Their children permanently. And possibly even their children's children permanently. Now, I get the 14th Amendment, and I get all the rage about that right now. We all know. That was post-Civil War. That was designed for children of slaves and slaves themselves. Because they were giving them freedom. Thank you, Abraham Lincoln. But why in the world would a whole percentage of the country, I'm not going to say half, I don't know if it's perfectly half, but a large percentage of that half, think it'd be okay just to allow whomever's born here to stay here? I want to know what you think. If you're for or against it. because to me it's ridiculous. My youngest daughter was born in Okinawa, Japan when I was stationed there. We lived in a small town off base called Ishikawa. Now, she was born on base at the Naval Hospital, which happens to be the only major hospital on Okinawa, at that time at least. Excuse me. My youngest has a U.S. consulate birth certificate stating she was born abroad. But she's not Japanese just because she was born there. Whether it had been a civilian hospital or military hospital, status of forces agreement for U.S. service members there wouldn't have allowed it. Most countries, if we were on vacation there and just so happened we didn't plan accordingly and our significant other, our spouse, whomever was pregnant and gave birth in that foreign country, do you think they would have citizenship? Most likely not. Canada wouldn't. Mexico wouldn't. Two of the most popular countries close to us that people go to. The vast majority of countries wouldn't allow it. They'd say, you're an American. Congratulations. When you're ready, go home. So why is it so important for everyone to take this whole dreaming situation and say, under the 14th Amendment, that child born here is an American, whether it's temporary status when the mother has that child, or whether it's an illegal alien? I don't get it. Common sense. Now, the only way I would see past my common sense, now obviously I'm America first. Help the rest of the country. We do. Most people don't seem to understand how many hundreds of billions of dollars we share with the world of our taxpayer money until we cut it off. One side's happy, one side's not happy when we cut it off. Kind of like the whole USAID situation. But back on the common sense aspect. Why? That whole side that wants every illegal individual to become citizens, what's the purpose? What's the reason? Because to me, from a military standpoint, I look at that more as an invasion. And those that seem to be proponents for them become citizens, I'm not going to say I look at them as the enemy, but I'm going to question their loyalty to America. Now, if they don't want to be America first and they don't want to be proud Americans, I don't necessarily want to say get out. I see a lot of people say that. If you don't like it here and you don't believe in America first, then move on, go elsewhere. You know, some people claim they'll do it. Some people actually do it temporarily, it seems like. And they come back. They maintain a foothold here. They don't renounce their citizenship. But I think it's a nefarious agenda. I, honest to God, believe there's nefarious reasons why to fight. Or they wouldn't have fought what the Supreme Court today had to make a decision upon. Now it's law of the land. Anybody that's here temporarily, president, on TPS standards, it's up to whomever the president is, going in the future after this current president, to say how long those individuals can stay. We'll give them a hand up for a little while, but once their country is no longer in the current state of the reason why we gave them the hand up, they go home. So I'd like to know what you think about this. I would like to just know your thoughts about all the different topics I talked about. I know this is kind of impromptu, it's kind of all over the place, but I wanted to get back in front of the camera and just kind of ask a few questions. Now, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to my channel. If you like this information, comment on it. Let me know your thoughts. I'll get back to you. And, I'll go ahead, even though this is impromptu, I'll go ahead and I'll add a playlist and a video to the end of this that you can watch. And I'd appreciate that if you would go through and see what I'm about. Now, typically I'm about leadership. Typically I'm about helping yourself and becoming a better person. But I think this is the second time out of 21 videos in the past 2 months where I've kind of had to get in front of the camera and say what the hell is going on. Because if you believe, in God and country, or you put America before any other country, it would make sense to me that you wouldn't want just anybody to be able to come here. And then if they had a child when they're not here for the right reasons, that child would automatically be a citizen. Because if we did that in any other country in the world, we wouldn't be afforded that same opportunity. So thank you for being here. If you want to follow me on X, it's SpankyGibson71. Once again, I'm Spanky Gibson with Spanky Gibson Produces. And I hope you all have a good evening, and I'll look forward to your comments.